The idea to make a movie inspired by the Snow Queen, the Hans Christian Andersen fairy tale, has been percolating at Disney for a while.
Well, I know that Walt always wanted to do it. We really didn't see any transcripts or anything. I don't know if there are any left. But I think it was, what was it, 1939 that we found out? And there was actually a production number given to the show. So
1092, we learned.
1092. Yes, we know these facts now. And but I didn't know during the making of it. And we were just with Alice Davis yesterday, looking at some artwork that Mark Davis had done. And it was actually for more of an attraction at Disneyland, Ice Palace,
the Enchanted Snow Palace.
Snow Palace, yeah. Yes. So, it's been kicking around. There was they tried some versions in the early, I think late '90s, early 2000s. I came back in 2008. Came back to Disney. John Lasseter had asked me to come back, and it was one of the projects that was still there, and it just intrigued me with the environment, which I thought was amazing. It's already magical. You've got the ice and snow, which is so beautiful, and Disney never done a full feature in the ice and snow. And then the character herself, the Snow Queen, who is so intriguing. She's not really very well defined in the Hans Christian Andersen stories. So, but there were a lot of questions about that, and that's where we sort of played a little bit more with that. So that's sort of where it started.
I had been a writer on Wreck-It Ralph, and that's how I came to Disney. And so I was very used to being in the story room, and writers are in the editorial rooms as well, and they work with the actors too. So it was very comfortable. And I loved Frozen. What we do at Disney is we sort of help each other with each other's movies. We go in and give notes. Every few weeks they put up the film and we'll look at it and give notes. And I was really falling for Frozen and giving notes. And Peter and Chris could see I was connecting with it and asked, as I was almost done with Ralph, if I would come on and write Frozen. And I was delighted. And then John and Ed, kind of watching how we all worked together and watching Chris and I particularly, felt like we made a great team. And we had a very intense schedule. Mm-hmm. They asked if I would co-direct with Chris, and that is rare. I'm the first writer to do that. Normally it's an animator who works many, many years up to become a director. But I think we were just such a good team story-wise. I could keep that going, and he could keep the animation going if needed. And it just worked out for us. We're very fortunate.
Kristen Anderson-Lopez, great lyricist, award winner, and Bobby Lopez, of course, won a Tony Award for Book of Mormon and Avenue Q. And since I had worked with them previously, was very familiar with them. And when Chris said that he wanted this to be a musical, we wanted to embrace that. And the reason, I think, not only did Chris enjoy going to New York and seeing those productions, but we knew that it was really important to have writers on from the very, very beginning of the project. So I joined 2.5 years ago. I believe they joined probably about 2 years ago. And we're in every day we met with them for at least 2 hours. A lot of times it was via video conference because they were in New York. But we talked about character, we talked about story, we talked about the arc of the characters long before they wrote any songs. Mm-hmm. And that was really important because we always knew we wanted the songs to do one of two things: either tell you something about the character that you didn't know before, or to propel the story forward. And to do that, they had to be intimately involved with the story process.
We wanted to integrate the characters in it. They don't just walk on snow. They're inside it. They're falling in it. They're walking through 2 feet of snow. And we wanted to create ice that was powerful and emotional because it's created magically by Elsa. And to do that, the technology was not there before at all. We had to build it. In the very beginning, the snow would sort of clump like packing peanuts. And they built some incredible software. One's called the Matterhorn, which is very Disney. The other's the Snow Batcher. And then they also, with the ice, we found you could do glass or plastic-looking ice very easily. But like humans, ice is very flawed, and that's what makes it beautiful. And so we had to hand go in and create flaws so the ice felt like ice. And we always say we don't go for realism. I think when you go for realism in animation, it can pull you out, but we go for believability. And in doing that, it's a feeling. You can feel when it's not ice to you. And so the team pushed harder than they ever had that technology took many, many, many hours to render on the computers.
It was tough. And we did our research, too. We did a lot of research. Peter didn't send us, but our research...
I didn't go either.
Peter didn't go either. But our artists got to go to an ice hotel first. There's one in Quebec City. Again, we saw how the light would come in and refract and reflect off of the ice, and the team they took some beautiful videos and pictures, and that really inspired them for Elsa's Ice Palace. And then they also our animators went to Wyoming to study what it would be like to actually walk with that big skirt that Anna walks in the snow. And the men and the women animators, they got to walk through it, and that was tough, but we got a lot of great video, and they felt it. They really, when you're doing animation, it's good if you've actually experienced something like that. And then you guys can talk about the other trip, the big trip.
The big trip was to Norway, and a lot of that, is environment, and that's a big part, but also the culture. It's the balance. Technology-wise, we've got more simulated cloth in this film than any film, all our films together combined, and it was the discovery of the intimacy of the Norwegian folk art and the stave churches and the rose mauling, and balancing that against the giant snowy fjords, which it was the perfect landscape. We could create an intimate setting with the characters, and then put them at this adventure that was giant in scope and very treacherous. And it was the greatest inspiration, I think, for us for the film. And at the beginning of the film, you probably also heard a very curious song that's unlike anything we've done, and that's actually Norwegian yoiking. A lot of people don't know, which is a folk singing that's done, and so we were just really inspired by that in a huge way. And our technologies team said, well, let's take from it and build everything we can. We
do 3D at the exact same time we're making the 2D version of the movie, so it's side by side. And Mike Giamo, our art director, is very detail-oriented, and I would say he uses a lot of color.
Mike likes color.
He does like color, but what was great was he actually used the color to evoke the emotion of the character, so it was grounded in the emotion, and a really amazing color palette.
I knew that this story could be big and could actually be great as a musical, but I also wanted to do a musical. The other movies I've done, Tarzan, I would say it's a movie with songs. It's not really musical, and Surf's Up had music behind it, but then this was my chance to do a real musical where characters were actually singing. So that was personally why I wanted to do it, but I think because of the epic scale and everything, I think it fits beautifully.
There's a lot that you needed to do, and what songs allow you to do is, particularly the way we did it with a true musical, it carries you through the plot and emotions. It doesn't stop, and then there's a song, and then you keep going. There's always some storytelling that enhances it. And there are things that Bobby and Kristen could do with a song that as a screenwriter would take me 5 or 6 scenes to develop. We'd have a mini-series if it weren't a musical, I think. And so for me, it was just being able to reach emotionally and in an entertainment level that would take a lot more as a writer to do. It was heaven to work with them.
And Bobby and Kristen would always tease her saying, we're going to take your best scenes and we're going to turn those into songs, and those songs will be ours. So it was like...
We often talked about that songs in many ways can touch the soul a lot faster and a lot deeper sometimes than a dialogue scene can do.
Adina, I don't think we actually asked her to sing a song.
The funny thing there was when we were asking Bobby and Kristen what kind of songs do they think they're going to write for the movies, so we could tell whoever was going to audition what type of song to bring in. We noticed that almost all the songs Adina Menzel had sung at one point in her life, so she sort of rose to the top pretty quickly.
What was amazing about Adina for us, though, is she has one of the most powerful voices, but her speaking voice has a gentleness and a slight vulnerability, and that's exactly what we needed for Elsa. So we didn't even know it at the time, because we were in the early development. We weren't sure if she was going to be a full villain or not, and we were trying to push toward villain, and she just was a much more complex, interesting person to work with, and Elsa became much more complex and interesting, and there could be no other Elsa. She brought everything that was that balance. And then, of course, we had Kristen Bell, which it was an amazing surprise for us that she could sing. But she is, brilliant and wonderfully funny, a great partner. And we actually improv'd a lot with her because she, like me, thinks girls can be funny, and so we decided to really just go for it and have a lot of fun with making her just a real girl.
And the other guys, they all had musical chops. Got Jonathan Groff, who Broadway, Spring Awakening, and lots of other musicals and amazing talent. I was looking for a voice that was a little more gruff, more mountain man-esque, and a man of few words kind of character. And he came in and kind of changed it. He was so charming and just this very warm, lovely voice. And I finished the audition with him. I was in the room with him reading the lines, and then I came back into the booth, and he had left, and everyone, the women and the men, were swooning, and so that was kind of a slam dunk.
Yeah,
there.
we rewrote Christoph
That's
completely.
how to rewrite. Of course, Josh then.
There's Josh.
Josh, Book of Mormon. We knew he could sing quite well and have fun, and then he was one of the first ones to come in. Also, we loved his voice and what he created for that. We also have Santino Fontana, who is now playing Prince Charming on Broadway in Cinderella, and again a great voice and a great singer. And he came in with an audition. He changed the lyrics to "I feel pretty" to "I am pretty," and he sang it. It was terrific. So we had a lot of fun with all of them.
Yeah.